We're good. We're getting ready to fire some questions at you. We'll start with Brandon Gibson from Rivals. Having a little problems with the unmute here. We'll get her figure out.
Hey, Mase. You made a strong contribution in your first year last year. Do you have any personal goals coming into this second season?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, last year I had the privilege of sharing reps with Black Hawk, Bryson Young last year, but this year it's time for me to step up. And I know that they'll be leaning on me more on the edge to, turn everything back inside. So that's just what I'm looking forward to, just setting that edge for our defense, making the job for everybody else more easier.
Next question comes from A.J. Jacobson at Rivals.
Mase, you obviously had to sit out that last year of your senior high school year with injury, and then you came back so strong as a freshman here at Oregon. Talk about the transition and making your body right again, and then how it is now versus where you ever have been before. In other words, how much progress have you made?
Sorry, could you say that again? Kind of cut out a little bit.
Sorry, I made that a confusing question. I was just talking about, how much strides you've made with your physicality of your game. Coming back from that injury that you had to sit out during your high school year to now, talk about where your body's at in terms of how much more physical you are.
Oh, man. I mean, our strength staff has done an incredible job with the way we operate around here. And I can say from looking at pictures from senior year to now, I mean, just my body's just gotten bigger, I mean, especially for the stud position, like I mentioned earlier, setting that edge. I know for me, being more of a shorter guy on the edge, 6'3" against offense tackles, 6'7", 300+ pounds, I knew that I'd have to set that edge with, all the strength that I could. So, I mean, I'm just working in there with everything that they do, and that's pretty much what it is just getting my strength up.
Next question comes from Eric Scopel, 247 Sports.
Hey, Mase. One of the benefits of playing as much as you did last year as a freshman is you have all this game tape, I guess you can review and just kind of assess your own play. In doing that, kind of what are some things that stood out and kind of, I guess, what are areas that you really want to focus on going into your sophomore year?
Yeah. I mean, I spent a lot of time during this offseason watching film on myself from last season, and not just last season, but also last year's fall camp and summer training camp. And, I mean, the biggest thing for me was it's been the same for this past year, just trying to slim down more and more here and there, and also just trying to get my speed up because I know that now throughout these practices I've been able to hold the edge better than I have been last year. Now I just need to incorporate the speed side of it and getting my pass rush on.
Next question comes from Matt Preem, 247 Sports.
Mase, a lot of people on your team on the defensive side of the football have said second year in the system on defense, the unit should be even better. Individually for you, a second year in this system, are things clicking quicker for you, or are you doing just more reaction, less thinking? Where are you at right now, second year in this system?
Most definitely. Last year, first year, I came in and I had an idea of what our playbook was like, but at the same time, it was like I knew that the little techniques here and there would always make the difference in the way that I would play my game. And last year, that was my biggest struggle, was just when I went on the field, it was always thinking too much in my head. But this year, it's more reaction because I know better. I know my playbook better. I know my assignments better, and just everything else is better.
Next up, Ryan Thorburn from the Register Guard.
Mase, you said you were thinking too much in your head, but I remember even during that Auburn game, you were making plays and a lot of tackles for loss early in the season. Did you come into your first year at Oregon with that kind of confidence that you could fit in like that, or did you surprise yourself at all coming off, your high school injury and everything?
I mean, I would say it was confidence, just especially from bouncing back from that injury that I had my senior year, missing that whole season. So I knew I owed it to myself to come in and make a statement for myself so that I'd be able to be in the position I am right now.
Next question, Tyson Alger of The Athletic.
Hey Mace, this is kind of a broad question, but if someone were to ask you, like, what's it like being a college student who's playing football in the COVID era, like how is it different than going to college even last year? Like just even like when you guys are away from the football field, like what's kind of like, are you guys allowed to do, and what's kind of a typical day like for you?
I mean, I'll start off with last year. Our typical day was practice in the mornings till 12, and then get to class by 1, and that was on campus. So, I mean, we went from class from 1 to 5, and then meetings back at the facilities at 6 to 7 or 8-ish. And, I mean, this year it's pretty much the same except everything's at home. And personally, I like it just because of fall camp. Everybody knows fall camp it's a killer on the body. So, I mean, I get to be home, just sit in my chair and relax, and not worry about people around me and walking here and there to classes, make sure I'm not late.
Next question comes from AJ Jacobson of Rivals.
Mace, I asked the same question of Austin Fowler the other day. And, Modern Day is one of the premier high school programs in the nation. And all of a sudden, the Ducks are being able to recruit from those type of high schools, particularly in California. What is it about Oregon now that's so attractive to guys like yourself that are, these blue chip athletes from these premier high schools?
I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I know for myself, everybody from back home that I grew up with knew that I was always a diehard Oregon fan since I was little, always rocking the Oregon gear, the big O on my chest, gloves if I had the chance to, a hat. And, once I had that Oregon offer, I knew right there and then that I would always commit here. But the other thing that stood out for me was just in our Polynesian culture, it's always family culture and family based, and that's what I felt here at Oregon with all the staff and everybody around here. Just made me feel like a second home to me.
Next question comes from James Crapia of The Oregonian.
Mace, who else is working at that stud end position with you, and how are they looking?
So right now, besides myself, it's Andrew Faliu, Trevin Maide, and Jaden Everett, with a mix of Adrian Jackson as well. I mean, everybody there is just studs, as the name says. You got Adrian coming off his last year, Andrew Faliu making that switch, and I mean, everybody else behind me has just been phenomenal. You can see that power that we have as well as the speed too. So, I mean, we all pretty much fit into that stud position really well.
Next question, Eric Scopel, 247 Sports.
Hey, Mace, you just mentioned some of the guys that are working at stud with you. Two of the players are kind of new to the position. Andrew, obviously, making the move from defensive line, and Jaden's a true freshman. And kind of what's been the process of getting them right? And you mentioned they've been looking good, but has it been a long learning process to get both those guys kind of situated at stud?
Yeah, it has. Just with the whole coronavirus that we've had to deal with this whole year, coming on and then getting sent back home, to coming back and sent back home again, I would say for Jaden, he's done a great job handling it well, because he didn't have what I had last year, the opportunity to learn with all that long period of time that I had last year. He's had to pick things up here and there quickly. And then I would say for Andrew Faliu, I mean, he's got to pretty much sit down. He's great on the edge with his hands just because he has that D-line mentality, and it works pretty well on the edge as well.
Next question, Matt Preem, 247 Sports.
Yeah, Mace, you touched on him, Adrian Jackson. Curious, just where is he at from a standpoint, and what does he bring to this defense? I know he was going to be in line for a starting role last year before he got hurt. What's it just mean to have this guy now with healthy for your defense?
I can just say there for all the tackles that have to go against him, I feel bad for them. He's got some serious speed. Like, just watching him in practice every day, just everybody knows Jay Jackson is always a speed guy. And, he's also developing his strength as well, setting that edge, as I mentioned earlier. But yeah, his speed is something else. That I want to be the same way he has his speed around that age.
Next question, Rob Mosley from GoDucks.com.
Hey, Mase, I was just wondering, after coming off the scrimmage, being back in pads, what'd you feel like you learned in the scrimmage that you guys wanted to try to address today, and just how'd you feel like today went?
I mean, today, coming off of that scrimmage from last week, you know, our defense is always, we snap back pretty quickly. We made all our adjustments over the past weekend and came back, and these past 2 days have been phenomenal on the defensive side, you know, throwing in new installs, making quick adjustments to the offense and everything.
Next question, Warren Williamson, Oregon Duck Football News.
Mase, Coach Cristobal has said that he feels the defense is ahead of the offense right at this point. I was wondering if you could give us an assessment of the defense as a whole, of course, the linebacker core, how good you guys are coming along, and if you had to play, could you guys play now?
So I can't really carry off of what Cristobal said, but from my perspective, our defense is ready. I know that everybody has bought into the idea that Coach Avalos has set for our group, and not only Coach Avalos, but everything that each position coach has given to us. You know, everybody's just bought in, and we know that, you know, Coach mentioned it today, everybody has a piece of the puzzle that once everybody does their job, everything will fit together, and there will be a clear picture of what's there for us. And, you know, everybody's doing a great job with doing it so far, and, you know, it only gets better from here.
Next question, Brandon Gibson from Rivals.
Hey, Mase. With three excellent defensive backs opting out for the NFL draft this upcoming season, do the front seven feel any additional pressure to sort of help these new guys come along early on in the season and everything?
No, sir. I mean, the front seven's going to do what the front seven always does, you know, apply pressure, confuse the quarterback, and shut down that run game.
That's it. Good job. No more questions.